Hello, everyone, and welcome to my video podcast. I will be doing podcasts live and telling stories and stories about certain houses that are haunted and buildings and all that type of stuff. Um, we're going to talk about some true stories right now, and let's just jump right into it. My name is Melissa Snow, and welcome to my podcast. This one says this horrifying haunting. I had a paper route when I was younger and delivered to an old lady named Margie when she was very old and lived alone. So I take a paper inside and check on her. One day I went in and she was asleep on the bed. So I put the paper on the table and left. The next day she was asleep again. And then the other newspaper was still unopened. The following day, I went in and Margie was awake. She said she was very happy and gave me a hug. But then that day after that, there was no cars outside her house. Apparently, Margie had died in her bed 3 or 4 days beforehand. Somehow, I spoke to and hugged her about 24 hours earlier when she was already dead. My goodness. I used to work at a hospital and had a lot of midnight shifts around 3 a.m. I went to the vending machine to get a snack. There is a door next to the vending machine with a window on it and had faced the cafeteria. I clearly saw someone walk by the door. It took me a minute until I remembered that the cafeteria had motion sensor lights that should have turned on, but was still dark inside. I went to get a closer look, and the direction the person was walking in would have led them straight into a wall. This never run faster. I have never run faster my entire life. Nurturing spirit. My mom told me a story about how one night when I was a baby, I got fussy and she came to my crib to check on me. After several times of her coming into my room, she was getting pretty tired herself. The next time I started crying, she got up and started to walk towards the room, but heard footsteps and freaked her out because she was the only person home. She sat still for a second, then heard the footsteps stop. When they stopped, she heard a crib rocking and rocked, and then heard the sound of what an older woman was talking and to me and trying to calm me down. So freaky. This is forbidding conversation. In the last weeks of my grandmother's life, she started off at nothing and talked to the dead. Family members, for example, she talked to her dad, sister, saying things like, "Okay, Rose, I'll be there soon." We noticed that exactly exclusively did this when the dead relatives, so we thought was in strange when she started talking to her brother, Henry, who was still alive, or so we thought. We got a call later that day that Henry just died. The Vanishing Nurse. When I was about 6 years old, my mom, very close coworker, passed away and she was a nurse. Later that night, I woke up and found out I fell asleep in my mom's bed. When I was over, I saw a woman standing over my mom and looking like she was putting an IV. I had never seen this woman before, but she looked up at me and smiled and walked down the hallway and vanished. A few days later, my mom came back from the funeral and finally saw a picture of the coworker. It was the same woman I saw in her room that night. It's kind of scary. This hearse slinging slasher. I worked at McDonald's overnight shift and we had a stereo sitting in the counter in front. There was 3 of the washing dishes in the back, and we suddenly heard a crash. We saw that the stereo was on the floor, unplugged, but the restaurant was empty. The stereo had been sitting completely level on the countertop, so there was no way I could have just fallen. We watched the security tapes and saw the stereo randomly fly off the counter. It was probably the creepiest thing I've ever seen, and the only explanation I can think of is that the ghost did it. I was up at 2 a.m. when I felt something firmly touch my leg. No one else was in the room, so I freaked out. But I had eventually fell asleep the next morning. My mom got a call and my grandmother had passed away at 2 a.m. Believe that the touch on my leg was my grandmother saying goodbye to me. It brings me to peace. This public pool haunting. I used to work at a public pool after we'd close. I'd often work alone to clean the area at night and around 2 a.m. I was cleaning the locker rooms. The pool had been closed for hours. By the time I heard the sound of children laughter and bare feet running across the pool deck, I went out to scan the area and there was nobody in sight. The doors were all closed and locked, and there was nowhere a kid could be hiding, and also didn't see wet footprints on the pool deck. I rechecked the doors and secretly looked at the monitors, but then was nothing. I was the only person in the building. The Holy Spirit. One night I woke up to what looked like a nun who was frantically praying next to my bed. I could hear her, but she kept making the cross signs across her chest. I was 100% awake and terrified. I told my mom about it the next day, and she said our house was ordinarily built for a priest that the nuns used to stay there. I am a mortician. My most disturbing experience was when I was preparing a child for viewing and randomly felt someone pull my hair, but I was alone. A couple of minutes later, I heard a giggle, and the door slammed shut. All my all my machines stopped, and it was dead, quiet. After I was done and the body was dressed, I felt tap on my shoulder and then the warmth around my side. Approximately, there were a child who would stand in there and they were hugging you. This woman in white. I woke up to the night having to pee and brought my phone to the bathroom. While I was walking down the hall and texting, I bumped into a girl in a white dress. I stopped to look up and said, "Sorry," and it kept going. It occurred to me that the moments later that I was home alone and not in my busting high school. The next day, when my boyfriend came to pick me up for the movies and he asked why I was staring at him through the upstairs window and why I changed out of my white dress, but I didn't even own a white dress. This chilling interaction. I went home to visit my mom after my dad died. I knew I was the only one in the house, but I heard a noise upstairs as plain as day. I heard my dad in his room. He got up from the computer chair, walked over to the door, and opened it. He walked down the stairs and stood on the last step for a few seconds before walking back up to his room, closing the door, and I was probably 5 feet away from him in the living room. I just froze. It scared me, and it scared the hell out of me. I was visiting a friend and stayed at her townhouse. Her roommate was away, so I stepped in the roommate's room and went to bed in there, and it was in the basement. I woke up in the middle of the night to a man in black suit. Black hat covered me up. He then walked out of the basement, sliding door glass, and I didn't feel scared at all and fell right back to sleep. In the morning, my friend's roommate was back, so I asked her about the man in the suit. She looked at me and said, "Oh, you saw the ghost too?" My goodness. The missing camper. I worked at an all-girls summer camp. While giving a tour to the new campers, we instructed them that no one was to enter cabin 5. We said and pointed to the cabin 5. We all saw a little girl in the white dress sitting on her bed through the window. We thought it was the camper who snuck in, so another counselor and I walked over to her rejoin us. When we got there, the cabin was completely empty. It was previously told that the cabin was haunted by a little girl, but it didn't believe it until that moment. Apparently, the little girl died in the 70s after falling off a horse and getting stepped on. Just thinking about that, I saw still gives me chills to this day. An eerie man. When I was a kid, I was playing at home and had a sudden urge to look over my shoulder. I saw what looked like a man. A suit stepped out of the closet years after. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw the same man when I was a kid. I ran back to the room and shut the door. I never slept in the door. I never slept with the door closed, but that night I felt an urge to. A couple of hours later, I woke to smoke alarms going off. I opened the bedroom door and the entire living room was engulfed in flames. I managed to escape through a window, but also the entire house to the fire. The firefighters said that if my door hadn't been closed, it was likely that I would have died from smoke inhalation. Thank you, creepy guardian angel, my closed door, for saving my life. Thank you, you guys, for listening to a couple of the stories that I just read. I'll be doing more video podcast, and I will be doing spooky story podcast in live with you guys in the chat. I want to thank everyone for coming in and battling and doing all the stuff that we've been doing the past couple of weeks, and I'll be on live for a couple of hours. If I don't go on live, that means I am doing my video podcasting. If I don't go on live, that means I'm out doing something. And I will let you guys know in the Discord, in my Discord, and if I'm going live or not. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everybody for helping me the past couple of days, just being in the chat with me and my new mods and me modding for everybody. And I want to thank everyone that just comes and sits with me. And I know I just said that. And there's going to be some more stories to come, you guys. I'm not going to stop doing my video podcast, but I'm going to choose one day out of the week to do a spooky story with you guys. And I want you guys to look forward to that. And then I will be going to the graveyard, and then I'll be going to the bridge, and then I'll be going to the antique store. And then if I do purchase a doll that I've been wanting, I'll let you guys know. And I want to shout out to Chloe for giving me a chance to have her haunted doll sent to my house. and Cheese in the chat, the Starling crew, Chloe and Cheese, decided that they wanted to bring her to my house and I get to keep her for a couple months and then I'll do a story on her. Her name is Samantha. You guys saw her in the video that I posted. And I will continue doing real life true spooky stories. We're going to continue doing people in boxes and telling their spooky stories. And I want everyone to come and join me, like, share, subscribe, do whatever I do in the chat. Whenever I'm modding for people, come in and help me out. And I appreciate it. And I love you guys. And I hope everybody stays safe. And I just want to bring some more spooky stories to you guys and true stories. And then I'm going to do some stories about some stories on maybe some haunted houses and haunted buildings, like the Conjuring House or the Villisca Axe murder house I've already done. I just want to thank everyone with my whole entire heart. I appreciate you guys, and I hope to see new people and new faces come in. And anyone that does follow me, please come and join me live. I will be live hopefully mostly every day for a couple of hours. And if anyone wants to be pulled up on boxes, this is what I do. They tell their spooky story and then I post it and everyone can see. But if you want to see any more, you got to come into my live and hang out with me and just chill and just have fun, you guys. I want everyone to get to know each other, get to know me, and then hopefully we can be on boxes. And then if this is on YouTube, please come join me over there. And I'm going to continue putting my stuff out on YouTube too. And I do have a Discord, a YouTube, and I have my TikTok. And I just want to make sure everyone is joining in. And thank you. A shout out to my mods, shout out to my friends that come in. And I want to thank everyone for even just sitting in the chat with me for that many hours and just chilling, talking, and hanging out and listening to my stories and me talk for a couple hours and tell you some spooky stories. I want to thank everyone that likes my stuff and just comes in and chills with me. I want everyone to feel free to message me. And if you have any stories of your own, please let me know. And then maybe we can pull you on boxes. And then I will ask you a couple of questions. And then we'll get to know you. And then we'll get to know your story. And stay spooky, everyone. I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. And happy weekend. And welcome to the Snowflake crew. Welcome in, Snowflakes. Welcome in, Snow Crew. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for even joining me. And I'm glad that everyone likes what I do. And everyone just, I see you. I see you in the chat. I see you. I'm here. So don't think that I don't see you, because I do. And I try to acknowledge everyone as much as I can. I want your voice to be heard. I want everybody pulled in boxes. And then just so you know, if you guys have any type of stories, just let me know. And I want to keep my lives as podcasty as much as I can, and spooky stories and ghost stories and going out and showing you guys and just doing investigations. And I probably repeated myself several times, and I'm sorry that I do that. And thank you guys. I seriously appreciate you coming in the chat. So I lowered my subscription to the lowest one so everyone can become a subscriber. Please like, share, follow. Tell your friends if they have any spooky stories to come in and let's chat. And I'm going to be doing my podcast live, and I'll be telling story time, and then that I find, and then I want to tell stories about certain buildings and hauntings, and I probably have more spooky stories myself, and my friend's going to come in and tell her side of her story about when we were together. And she does come in the chat, you guys. So when you see her, follow her, and then keep joining me, and have a great day. You guys, thank you so much. I just want to say how grateful I am for anyone. Come join me when I'm battling, and come and join me when I'm live, and join my videos, and then get to know me, and I'll see you again. I will be putting out more podcasts and stories for you guys, and live stories too. Thank you guys. I will see you tomorrow live on Monday, and then we'll go from there. Stay spooky, have a great day, and bye squad, bye spooky squad. Thank you so much. Peace out, everyone. Bye.